Today is all about apple cider. Apple cider is one of my all-time autumn favorites. And today I'm going to show you some unexpected ways to use apple cider at your next gathering. First, I'm going to show you how to make a homemade potpourri. And all you need to do is take some apple cider, pour it in a pot. Then I like to add some fresh orange slices, from some fresh cut up ginger, some cinnamon sticks, cloves, and some star anise. So once all of your ingredients are in the pot, all you need to do is put it on the stove, and as it permeates around the house smells like autumn. So once your apple cider is simmering on the stove and it's served as a potpourri, you should just get a strainer, strain it, and now you have the pure apple cider. I love to serve it in these little miniature apples because around fall time, friends and family come over, and I think this is a really fun idea to serve to your guests as soon as they walk in. So you take a apple. I use a Red Delicious apple, but you can really use any apple. And what I did is I got a small melon baller, and you just go into the apple and you start carving it out until you get the apples to look like this. Then you take your mulled cider, you pour it in, and then you can garnish it with a little cinnamon stick and a star anise. You put them on a tray, and when your guests come in, you present them. Apple cider idea number 3. So I have these little milk bottles here. You can easily buy them in Michael's or online. So once you get your bottle, you could take a funnel. You could pour your apple cider right into the milk bottle. And then I like to put a little cinnamon donut hole right on top. What's great about these is that they're super easy to make. There is an amazing visual presentation. Once you have your milk bottles completed with the apple cider, I like to serve them to the kids after school as a snack, or you can serve it as a dessert item at your next autumn party. Today I'm making a delicious, easy pumpkin smoothie. All you need to do is start by putting a few ice cubes in the bottom of your blender, or here I have a NutriBullet. Then another trick is to add a frozen banana to the bottom. I add a little maple syrup, a little bit of fresh nutmeg, then ginger powder. Then I always love to add cloves. That's not always an ingredient that you see in these recipes. And a bit of cinnamon. One of the most important ingredients is pumpkin puree, which you can easily find in the supermarket. If you want to go to Whole Foods and get something more organic, that's fine too. Vanilla yogurt is another item that I like to put into my blender, followed by a little bit of coconut milk. But you can also use skim milk, regular milk, heavy cream, whatever you like to use, or even soy milk. So once I have all of my ingredients in the blender, in this case my NutriBullet, I put it all together. Blend it for a few minutes, and then you can pour them out into your glass. Here, to make the presentation and take it up a notch, I put them in these stemless martini glasses with these black and white straws and a little cinnamon stick, and you can serve them at breakfast before your family goes to work and school. I have the best and easiest recipe for candied walnuts. So the most important thing when you make this recipe is when you take your egg whites, you need to whip them until they look like foam. If you do not do this step, your walnuts, your candied walnuts, will not come out well. So once I have my egg whites whipped, I am going to first add my walnuts, some brown sugar, okay. Then I like to add a touch of cinnamon, a pinch of sea salt. Salt always makes the sweetness come out that much more. And a little bit of vanilla. Once I have the ingredients in the mixture, I basically make sure that all the walnuts are coated well. And if you want them a little bit more spicy or sweet, you can add a little bit more cinnamon, which I'm doing here now. Okay, so I'm gonna take my mixture and I'm going to put them on a baking sheet. And you wanna make sure that your baking sheet has parchment paper. That way they won't stick to the bottom, they'll cook evenly, and they'll have the perfect amount of crunch. Okay, so these guys are ready to go into the oven at 350 degrees. I would cook them on one side for 7 minutes, then flip them around for another 7 minutes, and then they'll be perfect. Once your candied walnuts come out of the oven, you can use them in a million different ways. Some of my favorites is number one, on a salad. So here I have a salad with sun-dried cranberries. You can easily add your walnuts to the salad and then just choose your favorite dressing and serve. If you're having a party at home or even a small gathering, this is another great snack that you can put out at your party. So I made these individual cones. The cones are made out of construction paper, which you can buy at Michael's or online. And once I fill them with the candied walnuts, it makes it really easy for people just to grab one and graze. And if your party is a little bit fancier and more sophisticated, you can try putting your candied walnuts in these little crystal glasses, and it really takes the presentation up a notch. Butternut squash soup is synonymous with the fall season. Now, you can buy butternut squash soup or you can make butternut squash soup. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to make the butternut squash soup, but I'm not going to focus on that today. However, if you want to make butternut squash soup, it's really easy. All you have to do is cut your butternut squash down the middle. I like to add a little butter, olive oil, cinnamon, nutmeg. You can even use some maple. You throw it in the oven, you roast it until it's soft, and then you take out all the pulp. You can add a little bit of sauteed onions, carrots, and celery, add a little bit of cream or fat-free cream, and once you whip it up, you have butternut squash soup. Or you could just go to the supermarket and buy it. What I'm going to talk about today is how to embellish your butternut squash soup by making the most delicious croutons. So when it comes to croutons, it's always best to use day-old bread or 2-day-old bread. You don't want it to be moist because bread has a tendency to hold its water. So once I have my little bread cubes, and you could cut them any size that you want, I microwaved a little bit of butter and olive oil, and I'm going to pour that over my bread. Then I have a little bit of fresh garlic, which I will also add into my bready mixture. And I use these gloves because I like to cook with my hands and mix things with my hands, but of course you want to be sanitary. Now here, you can use any herb that you want, but I have parsley, sage, and rosemary. And I think those 3 ingredients make for a delicious crouton. And then of course, a little salt and pepper to taste. And once you give your croutons a really good mix in your bowl, you basically put them out or pour them out on a baking sheet and throw them in the oven, maybe like 375, 350 for about 15 minutes or until they are golden brown. So here I have some croutons that I've already made, and I wanted to show you how to make your butternut squash soup really pop. So I have 3 different ways to serve the butternut squash soup. One is the most obvious. I like to serve them in these black bowls because I think that with the black and the orange, it really pops. But what you can do is you can take your croutons and basically place them on top of your butternut squash soup. I like to add a few toasted pumpkin seeds on top, and those are also easy to make. On the tray, little olive oil, salt and pepper, easy. And then for a little color and a little health, nutrients, I put a little bit of microgreens, and there you have a beautiful butternut squash. You can also do the same in these little demi-tasse cups. What's great about the demi-tasse cups is if you're having a party and people first walk in the door and it's cold outside, you can present these little demi-tasse cups and serve them as they first come in, and it kind of makes them feel all warm and fuzzy and fall-like. And last but not least, if you are having a dinner party at home and you're gonna serve the soup as a first course, I think it's a really smart idea to put your butternut squash soup in a little milk pitcher and serve it with the empty bowl. Now in the empty bowl, you can fill the bottom with the croutons, the toasted pumpkin seeds, and every guest would get one of these. So they're getting a pitcher and a bowl. And when you put the creamer down on the table, they can pour the butternut squash right on top, mix it up, and you have an amazing fall appetizer. So today I'm going to share with you one of my all-time favorite fall appetizers. And this one is going to require a glove because it's a little messy, but don't get intimidated by that. Okay, they are called goat cheese truffle balls, and they are going to take the place of the boring cheese platter that people always put out for entertaining purposes. Okay, so first my ingredients. I have goat cheese, I have cream cheese, I have chopped parsley, I have sun-dried cranberries, and I have some pecans and walnuts, and then a little bit of honey to finish off the truffles. So I'm going to take the cream cheese and the goat cheese, I'm going to mix it together, and then I'm going to scoop it out with a melon ball scooper. Once you get these perfect size balls, you can massage them a little bit until you get them just right. And once you chop up all the ingredients that I just mentioned, except the honey, you can put them in a dish. And all you need to do is roll this goat cheese, cream cheese, truffle in the mixture until it's all coated and it looks like a beautiful fall treat. And to finish off these truffles, I always like to add a little bit of honey, which I drizzle right on top. And you can serve these truffles with some fig jam. You can even use some savory cheeses, and I even have some dried apricots. So hopefully I inspired you and you will try this recipe for your next at-home gathering.